House Bill 190, an act relating to the sale of grocery items by food service establishments and declaring an emergency. Representative Blanton.
Mr. Speaker, I yield to the gentleman from McGoffin 92 for explanation of the bill and motion thereon.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from McGoffin for explanation of bill and a motion thereon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As most of you all are aware, nearly 12 months ago, this body passed some very quick, needed legislation to provide COVID relief for businesses and other entities around the state, much like the telehealth that we heard from the lady from Madison a little while ago. And what we've learned from some of that legislation is some of those things were good practices, and we need to make them permanent rather than just during this emergency time. And so that's what this piece of legislation is going to do. What we did in Senate Bill 150, and we're codifying that in more permanent language, is allow our the food service establishments to be able to sell food items, groceries such as bread, milk, and other staples to their customers to help with the cutback in the number of people that was going to be there, be able to be in their facilities, and also to make it more readily available for the consumer. And with that, Mr. Speaker, before I move to the committee sub, I would like to yield to the lady from Campbell 67 with brief comments and how we came about this idea. Lady from Campbell.
Chair recognizes the lady from Campbell.
First, let me thank the gentleman from McGoffin for allowing me to speak. As many pieces of great legislation happen, this bill came about because of a constituent and a small business owner who happens to live in Bellevue, Kentucky. His name is Jim Fisher, and he owns an establishment called The Elusive Cow. And when COVID first hit and the shutdowns first began, he reached out to us to make sure that we knew that this was a way that could help not only his small business, but he felt really strongly that a bill like this that allows restaurants to sell grocery items could be really helpful in some of our rural communities that have food deserts, where they could sell fresh baked bread and other staples are very important to those communities. So again, I just want to say thank you, and I wanted to give honor to the person who brought this to us in the first place. Thank you.
Gentleman from McGoffin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now, if you could have the clerk to report Committee Substitute 1.
Clerk, please report.
House Committee Substitute 1 to House Bill 190.
Gentleman from McGoffin.
So what the House Committee sub did to the original bill was simply put in the language notwithstanding in the KRS number. Very simple explanation what that KRS does. It says that these food service establishments will be able to provide these items for sale except for any color egg that comes from a rooster. But no, all kidding aside, Mr. Speaker, all this does is it adds the language that after conversation with some cities and things to make sure that proper taxes and things are paid on these items, and we certainly didn't want to try to skirt making sure we had everything in order, and that's all the committee sub does. So if there's not any question on committee sub, I'd move passage of House Committee Sub 1, sir.
Motions for the adoption of House Committee Substitute 1. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor signify by voting aye. Those opposed, nay. House Committee Substitute 1 is adopted. Gentleman from McGoffin.
Mr. Speaker, if you could have the clerk report House Floor Amendment 1 to House Bill 190.
Clerk, please report.
House Floor Amendment 1 to House Bill 190.
Gentleman from McGoffin.
Mr. Speaker, what this floor amendment does is addresses some concerns of some members from the committee, and it simply puts a cap on how much of their income or sales can be from these groceries, because they are primarily food service company or businesses. So it caps that at 25%, and that's what this floor amendment does. So if there's no questions on the floor amendment, Mr. Speaker, I would move for passage of House Floor Amendment 1.